The disruptive impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, described by some as the biggest crisis to impact Caribbean educators over the past 2.5 years, created gaps in learning, which posed implications for school systems and demanded change. The requirements to immediately transition to digital platforms forced adjustments which local and regional institutions were unprepared for, despite previously mentioned intentions to embrace digital technology in classrooms. One unfortunate outcome was described as learning loss, with an estimated 1.6 billion students worldwide impacted. Inequity in education systems was also unearthed, with institutions like the World Bank encouraging reform and innovative solutions to address barriers to education. Partnership between the Caribbean Development Bank, CARICOM Secretariat, and Organization of Eastern Caribbean States in 2021 spawned the Learning Recovery and Enhancement Program, expected to guide educators in addressing existing learning gaps unearthed by the COVID-19 pandemic.
The World Bank estimates that pandemic-induced learning interruptions in Latin America and the Caribbean may translate into foregone earnings of US 1.7 trillion for this generation. This sobering projection heightens the urgency for education systems to mainstream practices that not only remediate learning gaps, but also enhance learning outcomes for all.
The introduction of Let's Reap is described as a means of strengthening social infrastructure and promoting economic development through strategic investment by the Caribbean Development Bank. The initiative is hoped to empower schools while improving the quality of learning.
The program presents 9 interrelated components, each with a core set of activities that schools can prioritize to enhance inclusion and student outcomes. It is my pleasure to announce that CDB is financing a certification course for educators in 3 components of Let's Reap that have been identified as key drivers for improving student learning outcomes. And these components are communities of practice, assessment and differentiated instruction, and leadership and accountability for learning.
Let's Reap is also expected to shape the training opportunities available to educators within islands like Saint Lucia.
The Eastern and Western Caribbean Joint Boards of Teacher Education of the University of the West Indies will implement the course for 15,000 educators over the period October 2022 to July 2024.
Blended delivery is expected to be a key component of the course through virtual and face-to-face presentation. Modules will become part of teacher training certification programs across the region. The first cohort of 3,000 teachers will undergo training within the Let's Reap program from today. Key Battalion, NBC Prime.